Gatsby here with something I've never done before. During the early years of YouTube, reaction videos acted as a method for attention-starved weirdos to reach beyond the comments section and provide their take on a video using a video. And recently, after I was pushed "Multiplayer gaming is dead, thanks for ruining it" by Lord Frogmire, I decided that for no reason in particular that instead of reacting to the video and calling it a day, I would make a reply video and recommend that you watch his video if you haven't, because I think it accurately identifies many of the issues plaguing the modern-day multiplayer game experience that my friends and I have drunkenly bitched about most weekends until 2 a.m. for the better half of the last decade. In his video, Frogmire states that MMR or matchmaking rating systems have had severe consequences on multiplayer games, emphasized through the use of B-roll gameplay from Team Fortress 2, a game from a forgotten time where you could boot up a game, find a lobby, and play a short round at your leisure. If teams were ever unbalanced, the auto balancer would shake up the teams, and if someone ever left, instead of being forced to play a man down while you wait for the sweet release of a surrender vote, someone else could join right in and you could continue ignoring the payload. With modern-day matchmaking, this concept is no longer an option. MMR systems expect you to quietly accept one of two scenarios. Either you hit the mythical 1 in 1000 jackpot of a perfectly balanced game filled with two teams of evenly matched players expecting to play the full duration of the match, or you end up in a game where one team is SEAL Team 6 and the other is a collection of the most emotionally stunted mouth-breathing cavemen who manage to finagle their McDonald's free Wi-Fi to hook into a lobby like a parasitic cyst, existing just long enough to drain out the final bits of happiness from the remainder of the lobby, resulting in an algorithmically perfected one-sided massive shitstomp used to lubricate fried dopamine receptors between queue timers and watching episodes of Kill Tony on your second monitor. One of the reasons why I wanted to talk about Frogmire's video is it felt like a great continuation of my video, The Modern Gaming Problem of Solved Gaming, where I expressed my issues with competitive gaming culture and the Cold War-style escalation to be the best, and how it's negatively affected how games are developed and consumed in the modern game space, with companies attempting to find ways to streamline a product so heavily that the experience is watered down in an attempt to appeal to the lowest common denominator, desperately trying to court the largest audience and ultimately appealing to no one. As a result, games are either billed as a service to distract players from the reality that gameplay models like Rainbow Six Siege, a game that used to be a personal favorite, has become almost completely unrecognizable due to effectively being a different game after 10 years of updates and constant patches required to maintain the guise of balanced gameplay. Or just let everyone fuck off to the next flavor of the month title so we can continue to distract ourselves from the fact that paying $80 for a new game is rapidly making Become an Alcoholic look like a more fiscally responsible choice. Where I focused more on the 1 vs 1 multiplayer experience, Frogmire took the time to outline issues pertaining to team-based multiplayer experiences, and I felt that it would be worth adding onto his rant with a few examples of my own. He mentions that he plays the third-person MOBA Smite, and recently when Valve released their third-person MOBA Deadlock, it was something that I was excited for early on. But on a particularly rare night, when I queued with a friend, I was thrust into purgatory for 70 minutes, losing a coin flip at their Baron equivalent due to having a team of quadriplegic Neanderthals. Not a problem, queue it up again, another 70-minute torture chamber, except this time, it was won on the back of an almost identical coin flip with another group of terminally ill Make-A-Wish children. I played League of Legends for more than a decade. I knew what this was and I quit playing Deadlock immediately and haven't opened it since. But that's MOBAs. What about something like Marvel Rivals? The great alternative for my friends who wanted to enjoy Overwatch without having to endure a title from Activision Blizzard. Queue 3 games, lose 3 games, all massive one-sided shitstomps. Queue a 4th game, this time my celestial friend, who has unlocked the 6-hour day to play more Marvel Rivals than any human should be legally allowed to, says, "Oh, it's a bot game." I had heard the rumors, but I'd never seen anything like this. An enemy team of fresh accounts with 0 chat presence, trickling in one at a time, resulting in what can only be described as a waiting room between games. NetEase Games has publicly stated that they operate their game with engagement-based matchmaking, where the game looks at your profile and determines the statistical likelihood of you closing the game based on if you win or lose the next game. We queued to play against players. We were extremely unsatisfied, so we stopped playing for the night. It's absolutely mental to me that any company would not only do this, but openly state that they are doing this. At this point, don't even call it matchmaking, because the fundamental purpose of matchmaking to find a lobby of good enough players is dead, and in its place, a sadistic practice that can only be overcome by playing into the system, committing more and more hours into a game that statistically wants you to suffer half of the time. That by itself is enough for me to say that the spirit of team-based multiplayer gaming is dead. However, if I was just making this video to agree with Frogmire, that wouldn't make it a very good video, because I do feel that he missed one key thing in his video, and that is the complete and total breakdown of communication between people. He mentions that communication can and regularly has been used as a weapon to remove players from games. With the right amount of frustration paired at the right moment, eventually you're gonna snap like a feral Swedish person on a bridge. But when I woke up one Saturday morning with nothing better to do, I said, fuck it, I'll play some Marvel Rivals. The first game was won off an internal spat with the enemy team that spilled over into the all chat, with all members of the enemy team begging for validation about how they were not the problem between respawn times. Cue a second game, and I got the most active chatter of the previous lobby, who after dying a single time revealed that he was the problem child. I calmly say, hey man, it's alright, it's King of the Hill, I know the last game was tough, I saw your teammates were in the all chat instead of helping you, but we could probably still claw this one back. Immediate in-bombs and a loud declaration that he is going to AFK for the remainder of the round to get into another game faster with people who are actually good at the game. In a Bronze 3 lobby at the beginning of the season. What the fuck? When I played League of Legends, people constantly asked for a team voice chat, stating that faster communication tools to identify players of the ongoing changes on the map was necessary. What was provided was a new set of pings and a statement that voice chat would be too toxic. The result, one of the pings was removed due to it being used as a roundabout way to say, hang yourself, and the text chat continued to be as toxic as it's always been. When companies prioritize censoring things like Free Taiwan over dealing with people who are actively and aggressively griefing, that tells me that the companies don't give a shit about the multiplayer experience. It's not about moderation, and even if it was, then the countless text logs of people explaining in plain English how they're going to throw or grief a game would be followed by an auto ban and an invalidation of the current game. With all of that said, while I most certainly agree that matchmaking has contributed to the problem, I don't think that chat moderation is what killed the soul of online multiplayer games. Instead, I think that the real final set of nails in the coffin for online communication was the rise in popularity of private chat rooms like Discord. In the 2010s, it was common to use proximity chat and server chat, but nowadays you just quietly sit in a group chat filled with people and external calls that watch YouTube videos on their second monitor with the intent of keeping their hands busy for long enough to not realize that they're not having any fun. And I know this because even I'm guilty of it. For every 5 games of Marvel Rivals I play, despite playing with 25 new players, there's maybe 1 or 2 people actually using their microphone, including that one asshole who hard-R'd me at 8 AM on a Saturday morning. But if you go back to the 2010s, that was how people met online. That was the soul of online multiplayer gaming, and it's dead. On a rare occasion, you might find a niche sub-community of 30-something people through social media, but game-to-game interaction has almost been entirely outsourced to private Discord communities. During my time spent in the 4th circle of hell, I had people that I'd add and keep up with from time to time, but in 2025, you sit in a lobby by yourself with at most one other person if you're lucky, while the remainder of the team sits in a Discord call jerking each other off about how bad the other 2 random players are because God forbid they come to the realization that they're going to hurt the feelings of the tumor in their group call that they have to queue up with after. And if you want to get even more extreme with it, live streaming takes away from this experience as well, with the expectation of streamers needing to play some flavor of the month piece of shit that gets thrown into the abyss the second the next globally approved friend slop game drops. Or worse, streamers are expected to subject themselves to the psychological equivalent of walking into a rake for hours on end, instead of just playing a multiplayer game they might actually enjoy. The modern multiplayer experience is so rough these days that somehow I find it difficult to even be motivated to play multiplayer games. If I'm playing a team game, I'll actively refuse to queue with randoms due to the looming threat of matchmaking buck-breaking me. At the moment, I enjoy playing auto chess games like Teamfight Tactics and Hearthstone Battleground because I know that if someone in my lobby is throwing, I don't lose out on the next 25 minutes of my life pushing surrender votes to a lobby of ghosts. It just means that I'm not going to go 8th. But the dream of the multiplayer experience of yesteryear, where you and 4 other people you've never interacted with come together to become triumphant against an evenly matched enemy team, is dead. And for the people coping on the idea that it's just a problem if you're in lower ranks or whatever rank you're at, then that's bait and you're wrong. There are countless examples of professionals and streamers who are paid to play these games that are regularly subjected to the same thing all the way up to the top. So when Frogmire ends his video to say that multiplayer games aren't actually dead, I kinda disagree. I mean, you can still play the games, but is it worth it? I think that experience is completely gone. But at least I have card games though, right?